A growing number of US companies are making sure they don't play an inadvertent role in any disruption of next week's inauguration. For example, Airbnb is cancelling bookings in Washington, D.C. Delta Airlines won't let passengers heading there pack guns in their luggage. And passengers who harassed Senators Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham on previous flights have been added to the no-fly list for the airline. As for the walkie-talkie app Zello, now that's removing channels used by suspected militias. Has got two more big names. The Business Roundtable said that President Trump deserves the strongest possible condemnation, whilst the US Chamber of Commerce is issuing a similar message. Its CEO told Julia Chatterley he was compelled to respond to what he'd seen.
We had very strong feelings about the appropriate way that the president behaved leading up to that tragedy. And we said that we condemned it. It was totally inappropriate. And we said that we leave it to the House and the Senate and the Vice President when they were talking about the ways to go forward. And we hope they would do it in a judicial and thoughtful way. They have acted. The Senate is saying that they will take up the trial after Mr. Biden is as President Biden, and probably not immediately, because they want to have the attention of the Senate on confirming important members of his cabinet.
Joining me now is the Chief Executive of Columbia Sportswear. It's Tim Boyle. His company co-signed a joint statement calling for an orderly transition of power. And Mr. Boyle, I don't think I'm being unfair. You're never backward at coming forward in the sense of putting A, your money where your mouth is, and B, making sure your views. Now, look, I worry here. What, from your point of view, what is the right way to proceed, assuming that there will be an orderly transition of power next week? I mean, he's been inaugurated, he's been impeached, the president. Is that helpful, do you think?
Well, you know, I've been quite clear about my feelings towards Mr. Trump. He's been quite difficult, and especially as the son of an immigrant, just the entire view of the immigration process in the United States, which was so important in the growth and the existence of the United States, I just couldn't be more strongly opposed to his feelings and policies. The best way to move forward, in my opinion, is to have the judicial bodies, or I should say the legislative bodies, act and to remove him from office and from the ability to be a force in the Republican Party, in my opinion. But, you know, President-elect Biden spent 30 plus years in that body. If he isn't able to bring us forward in a way that's much more measured and frankly in a positive way, I don't know anybody else who could do that.
I always wonder though, where do you draw the line as a CEO? You know, in terms of, I mean, and perhaps Donald Trump is a bad example because the egregious behaviour seems to have got a unanimity, or almost of sort of criticism. But where do you draw the line for when you put the company behind a political point? I'm just thinking of the fact that over 70 million people did vote for Donald Trump.
Well, you know, that's America. There are broad views and held by large populations of the people. I can only state my view, and you know, I'm only listened to it as a function of my position at the company. I'm not speaking for the company. I'm speaking for myself personally, and I think that's an important distinction. You know, we don't have a pack at our company. The only packs we have are ones that you wear on your back when you're hiking. But I think it's important for individuals, if they have the ability to be heard, that they should say something. And, you know, so I've been not shy about saying that I believe that President Trump was a problem and,
right.
and been a terrible leader. And you know, we're finally seeing some reaction to that activity.
Tim, I want to skate in a completely different direction, if I may. It looks like lockdown continues for some time, and certainly in other countries, that's the way forward. I saw that, you're seeing a vast increase in online sales and the company doing well online. Do you think that's permanent? Do you see a structural shift that will survive long after the pandemic's over?
Well, I think all of us in business and in the business of getting products to people realized that the convenience of online shopping was something that people found quite attractive. And over time, we all thought that this would grow. Obviously, the pandemic has accelerated that kind of adoption. And frankly, I think it will be quickly to 35% of the total retail sales volume in the U.S., certainly. But there are many places in the world where internet business is almost impossible just due to the facilities, the infrastructure, et cetera. So there will be large pieces of the world that rely heavily on in-person retail shopping. And in-person retail shopping, brick and mortar shopping, is not going away. It's going to diminish, but it's still an activity that people enjoy performing. And that, I often talk about the bubblegum business. If you didn't walk by the grocery store cash register and see gum there and bought it, there wouldn't be much people ordering bubble gum online. So there's a lot of that kind of business available.
Great to have you. Thank you, Tim. I do appreciate it. We'll talk more as the year moves on. I wish you well. Now, 6 days until the U.S. inauguration. U.S. airlines are stepping up security ahead of the inauguration next week. The TSA, which is the organization that runs the airport's checkpoints, is increasing the number of screenings. Delta Airlines, for instance, won't let passengers going to D.C. pack guns in their checked baggage. American Airlines won't serve alcohol on flights to and from the area. Pete Montine is with me. These seem modest moves, and I know there's much talk about the possibility of the no-fly list being used as well.
That's right, Richard. We have not heard from the TSA about whether or not they have actually added anybody involved in last week's riots on the federal no-fly list, something that names come from the FBI. This list administered by the Transportation Security Administration, the agency that runs those airport checkpoints. The FBI said yesterday that it is looking into the federal no-fly list, trying to keep people from boarding planes coming here, seeing as though the Secret Service thinks there could be more copycat attacks like those that happened last Wednesday here at the Capitol. It says that chatter online is off of the charts, and there is a real concern that things could get out of hand here again.
Now, where are you? I mean, I can see you're in Washington and you're near the Capitol, but I mean, it looks almost like armed invasion just by the sheer numbers and fences and security apparatus.
It's so true, Richard, and it's so jarring here. We are blocks away from the Capitol complex, and you can see this massive fence that has gone up here around it. It is very tall. I am 6 feet tall. The fence is about 8 feet tall, not scalable, says the head of the Army. Also here are some of the 20,000 members of the U.S. National Guard guarding the Capitol complex and the National Mall. We know the mall will be mostly closed off to members of the public during this inauguration that is going to be like no other. This is a place that would typically be teeming with people, now very much a fortress around the Capitol and National Mall.
Right, but what is the fear here? Working on the basis that lightning rarely strikes twice in the same place, and you have a military, a National Guard, a police force that is now primed and ready. Is this level of security necessary?
Well, you have to consider the fact that the Pentagon has said that it is concerned, and it has intelligence, that there could be improvised explosive devices, pipe bombs, like we saw at the DNC and RNC last week, They did not go off, and that's a bit of a mystery still, Richard, but the Secret Service, which is now leading the security apparatus, this major operation here at the Capitol and National Mall, says there is intelligence to say that there are actual threats of this potentially happening again, another armed protest here at the Capitol. We are expecting to hear a little bit more about this today from Vice President Mike Pence as he meets with FEMA. There's about to be a briefing about that around 4 o'clock Eastern time, so we're expecting to hear a little bit more about that soon.